This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. We're on location with New Century Modern. Since 2010, they have been recreating the 50s modern aesthetic for a 21st century lifestyle. I'm here with Kurt and Brad. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me here today. Why don't we start out, first of all, share with me a little bit about your background and what got you involved in this type of industry.
Well, strangely enough, I'm a high school teacher and still am a high school teacher, but with a deep love of mid-century modern architecture. And about 3 years ago, a partner who's not with us, Tom Bradbury, and I launched the idea of trying to recreate that sort of home in Denver. And then we hooked up with Brad Novak here, who's a longtime experienced builder, and then formed New Century Modern.
Excellent. Brad, also yourself, basically a love for this type of design. Is that what got you here?
I love building homes in general. And then when Kurt approached me with this idea, I said I'm on board. It's a fantastic idea, and I think it'll work.
Excellent. Let me ask you guys, we see design anymore in everything from our automobiles, our cars, our clothes, even down to our electronic gadgets, sleek designs. Basically, it's pretty much easy to understand why we want to live in a home that basically reflects a design that something we believe in.
Yeah, I think that architecture is essentially an emotional connection. I mean, some people buy houses for the space or the location or some more rational reasons, but most of our buyers look at a home as something that they can really connect to emotionally. And this kind of design attaches itself pretty powerfully to a certain type of buyer. Maybe not every type of buyer, but our buyers are very, very into this kind of architecture.
Wonderful. I mean, quite honestly, we date back to the 50s, the first modern community. I mean, kind of the roots of modern design. Was it popular back then, or just keeps getting popular because of that simple, innovative design?
Well, I think the architecture is always has always been around since the 50s. And it kind of came and went. It never went away, but it got very scarce through the 70s, 80s, started picking back up again in the 90s, and then in the 2000s, it's pretty pronounced all the way around the United States, in different cities throughout the United States. Well, and Europe, as far as that.
Interesting. I mean, we see it everywhere. We're talking about modern design in banks, in hotels, in lobbies. We're seeing it more and more everywhere. So therefore, folks want it in their homes, and it's got a real nice, easy feel to it, yet it's got a cozy environment.
Absolutely. It's open. It's clean. It doesn't have a lot of ornamentation. It just has a lot of light and flow, and part of our style is to keep things with little waste, not overbuild, not build spaces that aren't used, and really to make sure that every square foot is fundamentally part of the lifestyle of the family.
As 21st century thinking goes, anymore we're focused on the planet. You hear a lot about going green. Does a modern design like this fit in harmoniously with that type of thinking?
It does. It does. When we're building these houses, we are thinking green, and we're not only thinking green, but we are thinking green. As far as our furnace goes, we're 95% efficient. As far as our hot water heater goes, we're tankless. As far as our materials in the houses, most of it's recycled. So we are thinking green when we do build these.
So we're talking about materials. We're taking more of a simple nature. We're sitting on some beautiful flooring throughout this whole home here. Is natural wood kind of coming back in along with more sleek design?
Well, we try to do a more Colorado version of modern, which is a warmer version of modern, and so you'll see the wood throughout our homes. That Bauhaus European style is pretty cold, concrete, steel. That appeals to a certain buyer, but we're in Colorado. We like the woods, we like the nature, and so we try to bring that in the home as much as we can.
This is a beautiful home to walk in, take a look at, but what do folks mean when they say restrained elegance? What is that exactly?
Well, it means not a lot of extra detail that doesn't need to be there. So if you look at, for instance, the mantle over the fireplace here or the tile around it, those are very simple features. There's not a lot of carvings. There's not a lot of ornamentalism. The railing on the stairs is clean and simple. It doesn't have a lot of extra design or extraneous design. So it's really just the minimal amount necessary to get the effect you're trying for.
Minimal amount necessary, yet providing what folks basically need. Are owners anymore opting or choosing for a smaller footprint in a home?
They are. We've noticed a definite change in people aren't wanting that big monster home anymore. They're wanting something a little more simple, a little more compact, and quite frankly, a little more affordable. And that's where we've seen kind of the market turn a little bit for us anyway.
So sometimes because of economic environment, we basically decide to figure out a way to be more innovative in our construction approach.
Yeah, I like to say, you asked the earlier question about green architecture. The greenest decision you can make is a smaller home. Less materials, less air conditioning, less heating, less everything. So you can build a 5,000 square foot home with low UV paint, but if you have to paint 5,000 square feet, you've really offset your environmental gain. So really the smallness, and we're not a small home, we're just a smaller home. That's a big decision in our design.
We're talking about because of not only the economic nature right now of the country, but we're talking about a home that is really more efficient. I mean, it's more efficient housing.
Well, I think so. I mean, in terms of the flow around the home, it's efficient. In terms of the build process for Brad, it's more efficient. So in just about every way, and it's more efficient for a buyer to come up with their own financing and be able to afford a particular price point. And it's efficient for just about every type of buyer. We've had empty nesters, we've had young families, we've had single people buy them. So we don't have a typical buyer. It seems to appeal across the wide spectrum.
Is it actually kind of fun and yet challenging to really recreate this 50s aesthetic, yet you have to really interpret it in modern day times and see it through the eyes of our technology today?
I could definitely share on the indoor-outdoor experience that people are looking for. You're seeing it across the board right now. I mean, it's very uncommon for any builder in any architecture to not have that indoor-outdoor space. In the modern architecture, we're finding that we can really enhance that just because of the way the architecture is set up. But I do feel that that is a key element right now in architecture, period.
So I imagine even the windows, and not only the windows, but even the window coverings folks use is able to basically accomplish that seamless indoor-outdoor environment.
Yeah, I think it's funny. There are people all over the metro area living in non-modern homes with very modern interiors. Their furniture is modern, their furnishings are modern, and they wish that the outside of their home matched the inside of their home, and we're trying to bring those two things together. Why should you put your crate and barrel furniture, your room and board furniture in a house that's really not the same on the outside as what you have on the inside? So it's fun for them to have an opportunity to finally put it into a space where it actually matches as opposed to clashes.
Interesting. We have been showing the viewers right now on the screen some great shots of this particular project you're working on. Share with me a little bit about this project and possibly other ones that you've got.
Well, this is our ranch model. We've done two now. We're building a third, a slightly larger and slightly different ranch in the same area. Ranches are hard to do in Denver because most lot sizes don't accommodate them, but we also do a two-story model with the bedrooms upstairs. The ranch seems to appeal to maybe an older empty nester buyer that doesn't want to climb up and downstairs, and the two-story may be more for families, although that's not necessarily a hard and fast rule on that.
Excellent. Your company, are you actually dealing straight with the consumer, actually speaking with the folks that are going to live in these homes?
I deal with the homeowners as they buy the home, but we are primarily a spec builder. So we do not do custom homes. We are primarily just a spec builder. So I deal with the customers as they buy our homes and as they go on the market, and doing follow-ups with warranty issues. And
speaking of those buyers, share with me some of the responses you get when you walk through a home.
Well, for one, when we have our open houses, they're usually quite a chaotic affair. We had this one about a week and a half ago, and we must have had 75 different families in here. Several people came back 2 or 3 or even 4 times that day, bringing people back like, I'm here, but I want to bring my wife back. I'm here, but I want to bring my parents back. So the response is overwhelmingly strong to the things that we've already talked about: the floor plan, the style, the cleanness of the design, the indoor-outdoor living, and the locations. We try to choose locations that are also very desirable for families. So it's not just a cool house in a place they don't want to live, it's a cool house in a place that they do want to live. And so the buyer, the people who actually buy the house, Brad gets their perspective once they're in the home.
Sure.
oh, people love it. I mean, the people that come in that I'm seeing, all my homeowners have just praises about the home. They love the modern architecture. What they're finding is they can't find the modern architecture in the neighborhoods that we're building. I mean, there are other builders doing it, but quite frankly, they're much more expensive, and they're a lot bigger than what we're building. So for them to be able to find in kind of the infill areas in Denver, they're just overwhelmed with happiness. Then they don't want to live necessarily in the Highlands or downtown. They'd like to live in the suburbs out here in the Denver metro, and we're offering that, and we're finding that people are really, really pleased with it.
Wonderful. I mean, what gets me is the fact that because of the simple design, really it's a design that is timeless. I mean, really, you can't. It really will work anytime.
Well, it's worked since the 50s at the very least. And in fact, if you date back to even some Frank Lloyd Wright styles prior to that, some European styles prior to that, you really got about a 100-year run of this style of home. And as you mentioned earlier, it's finding its way into commercial spaces, banks, Starbucks, hotels. It's kind of everywhere. You watch TV and you're watching a car commercial and there's a modern home in the commercial. And yet, in the world that we live in, they're not out there very much. And we're trying to actually close that gap one house at a time.
One house at a time. Take a look, folks, at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, you get a little bit clearer idea of their philosophy. Basically, check out the projects that they're working on. You're going to see some great floor plans there. But most importantly, you're going to see their contact information. Basically, when they have open shows, that type of thing, they can definitely keep you apprised of what's coming up on the market. And obviously, you walk into a home like this, it's going to be something that that is a real simple design. They say it's got an open feel to it. I personally have never walked into a home quite like this before, and it is really cool. And so I hope we're getting that across for you as well. Remember, that is New Century Designs for a New Century Lifestyle. That is New Century Modern. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.